if you are not happy with where you are in your life, what can you change? How can you break the routine? Just going through the motions of life and just going through the flow because everyone else is doing it might not be the right thing for you, especially if it's not working. So break the routine. What new routine can you take on to actually start seeing a difference in your life?
Staying motivated takes work. If you don't work on your motivation, you become unmotivated. Join Oumar Jang as he shares inspirational stories and tips to get you motivated to do whatever you need to do. This is the Motivational Voice Podcast.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Motivational Voice Podcast. This is session number 46. I hope you enjoyed your holiday weekend and had a chance to celebrate with your loved ones and take a break. Taking a break is a great way to prevent burnout, which of course can lead to a lack of motivation. Yes, granted that sometimes it can be difficult to work towards your goals, whether you are taking care of yourself or not. So if you are someone who really wants to be motivated but you just can't make it happen, then you're going to want to add this episode to your favorites, because today I will share with you 5 tips that can help keep you motivated and keep your spirits high so that you can continue to take the steps and actions that will lead you to living the life that you want. These tips that I'm about to share are the very same ones that I use in my life. Yes, I do practice what I preach, but I also teach them to my clients who are having great success with them. By the way, this is a solo episode. It's just you and me. You get to hear my enchanting voice for the full episode. So let's get started. Let's break down the 5 daily routines that can keep you motivated about life, your goals, and whatever else you want to do. The way I use these routines is every time I find that my motivation is not what it should be, and I'm having an off day or in some cases an off week, I take a pause and I go through these 5 things. And I say to myself, okay, do I need to focus on tip number 1, or do I need to apply the principles of tip number 3, which, by the way, we will talk about shortly. And by the way, this actually happened as recently as a couple of weeks ago. We had just come back from a week-long trip in Texas. My wife and I and my 12-year-old came back, and immediately after the trip, I wanted to kind of just sit back and relax a little bit, right? I needed a vacation from my vacation. But what happened very quickly was that after a couple of days, I started to notice that my motivation was not what it's supposed to be. There were a couple of things that I needed to do and didn't get to them until later. But anyway, I followed this process, and the next day I was firing on all cylinders again. So this actually works. All right, enough with the prelude, let's dig right in. The first daily routine to keep you motivated is break free from routines that do not serve you or your goals. I repeat, break free from routines that do not serve you or your goals. We live in a world that is primed for routines. And don't get me wrong, routines are not necessarily bad, especially if they help you stay organized and go through your day with a sense of direction and purpose so you can get things done. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. But routines can also get in your way and prevent you from accomplishing the things you want in life. How? Here's how. Our brain likes repetition. If you do the same thing over and over again, your brain is going to say, if your brain could talk, that is, interesting. You do the same thing every single day. So I'm just going to replay what you did yesterday and save my resources until you actually need me. Have you ever driven home from work and it wasn't until you parked the car that your brain turned back on and you realized, holy cow, I just drove 10, 15, 20 minutes and I don't even remember which highways I took to get home, right? The problem here is that the more you do the same thing over and over again, the more of a habit it becomes. In episode 13, I talk about how habits are created and how repetition can help you master a new skill. But if you keep doing a negative routine, guess what? It becomes easier to keep doing it over and over again. So if your routine doesn't move you towards the direction you want your life to go, nothing is going to change. This is how people look back at their lives and realize that 5, 10 years have passed and they haven't done any of the things they wanted to do. So stop. Break the routine. Don't be a robot just going through the motions of life that you might look back on and regret it 5, 10, 15 years from now. Think about what this routine that you are on is preventing you from being, is preventing you from doing, and is preventing you from seeing. When I was in college, I took an Econ 101 class. One of the things I learned in that class was the concept of opportunity loss. Essentially, opportunity loss is the difference between the highest possible payoff you could get and the actual payoff you got based on an action taken. So in plain English, it's the difference between what you could have gotten and what you ended up getting because of the action you chose to take. So ask yourself, what am I giving up by sticking to my routine and not questioning it, not taking the action that I need to take to get the reward that I want out of my life? If you are not happy with where you are in your life, what can you change? How can you break the routine? Just going through the motions of life and just going through the flow because everyone else is doing it might not be the right thing for you, especially if it's not working. So break the routine. What new routine can you take on to actually start seeing a difference in your life? So don't get settled in those routines. Start thinking about what you can do differently to actually break out of those routines that get you and keep you stagnant. Tip number 2, embrace failure. Don't be afraid to fail. We live in a society where failure is frowned upon because it is seen as a sign of weakness and stupidity. But I'm here to tell you that it is completely wrong and misguided to think of failure that way. Some of the biggest successes in my life happened after I failed at something. Failure is one of the best and most effective ways to attain a rapid success. We always hear about people's successes, people who started companies in a garage, influencers landing million-dollar deals, sponsorships, and musicians hitting the top of the charts overnight, etc., etc. But before these people were successful, they had multiple failures, multiple late nights that ended in failures. They were told no time and time again. But we don't hear about that. And the only reason they are successful today is because they dared to, number 1, take action, and then number 2, to continue to try after they have failed or were told no. Besides, without failure, we would never have some of the most incredible inventions in our lives today. Penicillin. Did you know that penicillin was discovered as a result of a failed experiment? The pacemaker. The pacemaker that is saving thousands of patients today was a mistake. It was a failed experiment. The microwave oven. The microwave oven that you have in your house right now was a failed radar experiment. Fireworks were not supposed to be fireworks. They were supposed to be a meal. And there are so many other things that we enjoy today in our lives because someone dared to fail multiple times before succeeding. So the point I'm trying to make here is this. Embrace your fear of failure. Fail often. Fail fast. Learn from the failure and grow from it. Don't be afraid to fail because your biggest growth might just be waiting behind your next failure. Your biggest growth might just be hiding behind your next failure. Getting our mind and our habits right is very important for our well-being. That's one of the reasons why I started this podcast. But taking care of our bodies and especially what we put in it is equally as important. That's why I try to take those gummy vitamins every morning, but I can't, for the life of me, remember to take them consistently. So I was recently introduced to a better option from Athletic Greens. It's called AG1. When you take AG1, you're getting 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens, and they help you start your day right. This blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and even aging. What's amazing about this product is that it contains less than 1 gram of sugar and has no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or anything artificial, but it still tastes good. And Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews. So right now, you can reclaim your health and strengthen your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water daily. That's it. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-boosting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/emerging. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/emerging to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Tip number 3. Move the needle on a regular basis. No matter what your goals are, no matter what you're trying to achieve, you need to make a conscious effort to chip away at it. We live in a world that makes instant gratification the norm. Nowadays, if you want something, all you have to do is pull out your phone, and with 1 push of a button, the item you want materializes at your door the very next day. Now, the unintended consequence of such conveniences makes us predisposed to want things happening every single day, and in some cases, we want it yesterday, right? We want things and we want them now. But your goals are too important for you to think of them from an instant gratification mindset. Anything that can change your life for the better will take the amount of time it needs to happen properly. But that doesn't mean you can't take steps to make the changes happen. The best way to make change happen in your life is to move the needle on a regular basis, whether you do it daily or weekly. But you have to have that consistency of doing it. Have you ever seen an eagle's nest? They're big and very, very intricate. They take months to build, and the eagle will continue to maintain the nest for years to come. But as complicated as an eagle's nest is, it is built by adding 1 piece at a time, every single day. 1 piece of grass, 1 stick at a time, and with dedication and consistency, those small sticks and those small pieces of grass add up to an impressive nest. So, what small and easy actions can you take to make things happen in your life on a regular basis? What baby steps can you take today, this week, to work towards the life that you want? Move the needle. Every little bit helps. Tip number 4. Motivation is a muscle, and as such, you need to exercise it. Motivation is a muscle, and as such, you need to exercise it. Motivation is as much a state of mind as it is an emotion. And like an emotion, it can come and go, and that's perfectly okay. You are not going to be positive. You are not going to feel motivated every single day. I don't. No one does, right? I can even tell you that there will be many, many times where you'll have multiple days where you don't feel like lifting a finger, just like I had about a week or 2 ago, right? There's a misconception that if you could just find motivation, it would solve all of your problems. But that's not the case. Motivation doesn't just happen to you. You make motivation happen by reminding yourself how important your goals and your aspirations are to you, your family, and that you are not going to let anything or anyone get in the way of that, not even yourself. The more you remind yourself of your end goal, the more determined you will be to reaching those goals. And determination is the most powerful fuel for motivation. So keep an eye on your goals. Write them down and put them someplace where you can see them every single day. Because if you don't see them, it's out of sight, out of mind. Tip number 5, believe in the power of your actions. You've heard of ROI, which stands for return on investment. As a general rule, when you invest in the stock market, you get a return on your investment, right? You gain something back. When you invest in real estate, you get a return on your money. In each of these situations, you are putting in your hard-earned money because you believe it will pay off. For things to happen in your life, you need to invest in your life with your actions so that you may get the life you want in return, and you need to believe in those very same actions that you're taking towards your life goals. Without action, there can be no movement, no change. Just like you made the decision to invest your money in the stock market, you need to make the same decision to invest in your life, except when it comes to your life, you don't put in money. You take actions to get the life of your dreams as your ROI. In my opinion, repetitive actions that help you chip away at your goals are some of the best investments you can make in yourself. The actions you take on a daily basis will pay off if you stick with them, just like you would if you invested money in the stock market. Belief starts with you. If you don't believe that your own actions have the power to transform your life, who will? No one is going to knock on your door and say, hey, I believe in your actions. Besides me, of course. And I do. I believe in your actions because I know that actions are very powerful. So believe that what you are doing today will help you build the life you want tomorrow. All right, let's do a quick recap of the 5 tips that we talked about. Number 1, we talked about routines. So tip number 1, break routines that do not serve you. Tip number 2, embrace failure. Tip number 3, move the needle on a regular basis. Tip number 4, motivation is a muscle. Exercise it. Tip number 5, believe in the power of your actions. When you use these tips, and by the way, I don't expect you to use all of them. What I want you to do is pick 1 or 2 that resonated with you and take action on them. If you do that, you will begin to see changes happen in your life. I know you will. I've seen it happen with my clients. So I know it will work for you. And when you start noticing those changes, you will start to feel motivated about the direction your life is taking, because you will realize that you do have control over your life and your own destiny. I don't ever want you to look back at your life and regret not living the life of purpose that you deserve. You can find the show notes for today's episode on my website at oumarjang.com/session 46. If you've enjoyed listening to the podcast, grab your phone right now and give us a 5-star rating and leave us a review. I would love to hear what you have to say about this episode or the podcast at large. It will really help others discover the show and learn from the information that I share. Thank you for doing that, and thank you for spending part of your day with me today. Until next time, please stay safe and motivated. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Motivational Voice Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and rate it on iTunes. Get show notes and the latest blog posts at oumarjang.com.